Unlike most of my videos, this is more like a public service announcement for people going into haunted houses. I have a playlist up, and I like haunted houses. One, because I actually got to work in one. It was small, but I also thought that maybe I should raise some awareness about some of the problems with haunted houses. Mainly, some of the people that come there. Like the parents who decide that their children are not traumatized enough coming into this world as it is. They're going to take their 4-year-olds and bring them through a scary attraction for the first time, holding their hands as they duck their heads into their jackets. Now I can understand getting a kid involved in things you like, but there's a time and a place, and there's appropriate things to do. You should probably wait on the haunted houses until they're old enough to be properly potty trained. It's just something that seems sensible to me, to not send your child into a scary place where they're bound to literally wet themselves. Great parenting at work there. And there is another group, but they're fun. But they could also be a bit of a pain if you don't know how to handle them. I am talking about the groups of boyfriends that bring their girlfriends in hoping to get a good scare, hoping they'll come clinging to them in sort of a macho way. He's not the women cling to the guys in a macho way. I mean the guy, he's coming to their aid to be all sterling and brave and burly and their protection. And then what happens? They are hiding behind their girlfriends halfway through the ride. I can see it. And they are terrified. And the girls are either laughing or they are beating the living shit out of these guys for ducking behind them. The first 3 times it was rather amusing, but after the 4th, it kinda gets a little old, and you're wondering, who are these people? And have they no spine? They are probably the product of the children that came through the haunted house when they were 4, and yeah, you can kind of see where this goes from there. Of course, along with this boyfriend theme, there are also the uber machos, and these are the ones that are just too overly protective. And why they would be bringing their girlfriend into a haunted house, I have no idea. But there was one story I heard of a guy who brought his girlfriend in, and this was a long time ago before they had pressure switches, so a guy had to take his fist, stick it through a hole, and feel for someone's ankles coming by. And the girl thought that she was being grabbed, and the boyfriend's killer instinct was to punch the wall. The wall. The wall. And this was in an old barn house with cedar panels. He broke his hand in 3 places that night. And as he was being helped out of the haunted house, whimpering and crying, holding his hand, his girlfriend looked rather steamed behind him, as she was crossing her arms and shaking her head, wondering where she went wrong when she went to this guy as a boyfriend. And really, what was the whole idea of punching the wall? The guy was on the floor. Had he no instinct to stomp? Now granted, it wouldn't have made for as good of a story, but it just goes to show you that not everyone going through a haunted house with their girlfriend is necessarily equipped for the situation. And as amusing as it can be, it could also be dangerous, especially if this guy was actually intelligent. Now, one of the worst ones, and you think this wouldn't be the case, are the ones that have severe phobias. Now, normally if someone just has a slight fear of something, it's not a big deal. But when they've got it to the point where it's actually called a phobia, that means they are in serious trouble if they encounter something truly, truly scary to them. And one of those things is probably going to be clowns, or in the case of what I heard of, again, was spider webs. And this was the same haunted house that Macho Bob decided he had to take a whack at a wall. Now, here's what happened. There was a room set up to be a spider room. It had all sorts of cobwebs and everything there, and giant spiders. In fact, the largest one greets you as you're coming up, and as you step in, there is a cushioned floor that trips you up a bit to kind of give you the idea that you're actually walking on cobwebs. Well, this woman came in, took one look at that giant spider, and her phobia snapped right in. She went head first into the floor. I mean, eyes rolled back, it went stiff as a board, and just toppled over like a tree. Luckily, that padded floor did save her, because if it wasn't there, she would have hit, again, hardwood floor, most likely cedar, but I don't know exactly for sure. But she would have had a broken nose, probably a severe fracture on her skull, because there's a bit of a dip there. So it could have been extremely nasty. Luckily, she was able to be carried out the whole way. If you're any one of these four people, I suggest you take a reality check. Think about what you're about to do before you go into a haunted house. And please, don't ruin it for everyone else. Bring a clean pair of underwear so we don't have to slide across something we don't want to know what it is.